Why Face the Dead? About finding meaning in life. Where do you go when you try to understand the world you live in? When you want to find out who shaped your town, your schools and hospitals? Well, you can visit the local archives, but you could also turn to a somewhat creepier place, a cemetery. Anna Grauw found at the local hospital. Anna van Gogh was the mother of the famous painter Vincent van Gogh, and Carol Corbett was Professor of Classics at my university. The stories of the dead have to some extent shaped myself. The sense of tradition is also important when we write poems for our St Nicholas Festival in December. We base our poems on the models we were given by a long line of people before us. Like us, professional writers get their ideas from the dead. Sometimes they even stage a very descent into the afterlife, like the Italian poet Dante. In my research, I analysed literary texts in which a poet like Dante visits the world of the dead. The fear of death and the afterlife rendered by Dante in his Divine Comedy has probably been our greatest issue ever, and the descent into the underworld is as old as European literature itself. In the world of the dead, poets visit their predecessors, the authors who've inspired, frightened and influenced them, and whose style and themes they try to adopt and adapt themselves. Sometimes the confrontation with these literary ancestors is a struggle which helps them to find their own poetic voice. The descent into the underworld is not just a device for writers to connect to the literary tradition themselves. It's also a clever trick for authors to show that they know their classics and that they deserve respect and acknowledgement from the outside world. For example, Dan Brown's appropriation of Dante in his thriller Inferno connects the rather light genre of the thriller to the more serious genres of the novel and epic poetry. Perhaps it won't come as a surprise when I tell you that the underworld descent has often been adopted and adapted by non-mainstream authors such as feminists or post-colonial writers from Africa or the Caribbean. In using one of the oldest literary motifs of European literature, they tell us they've mastered and appropriated the very tradition that oppressed them. One of the authors I study is the Caribbean poet Derek Walcott, who turned a volcano on his native island St Lucia into a Dantean hell. It put Caribbean literature on the international map and gave him the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1990. Definitely pays for poets to face the dead.